Well, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, or I guess it could be morning or evening, depending on where you are out there in the world. I am Lisa Gunshore. I am your host of the Buddhist Biohacker. Welcome to the Buddhist Biohacker. Our commitment is to create conscious content. We are the new media for 1111D. And I am thrilled to have you guys back for another one of our monthly feature segments. And this is our second episode with Sheryl Garcia, the Colorado Herbalist. Welcome back, Sheryl.
Hello.
It's so great to have you back.
I'm glad to be here. It's going to be fun.
Oh, it's going to be so good. And before we get started, I have some announcements for everybody who's joining in the live. You could comment and ask questions in the live stream. If you're listening later on the replay, either on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, or Podbean, you can absolutely join our forum at mewe.com. Would love to hear from you then. We also are kicking off our One Heart, One Earth Global Healing Summit tomorrow at 6 p.m. Woohoo! Can you believe 8 weeks ago this didn't exist, and it's manifested in this global event, and we have over 40 hours of content starting with our opening circle tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. If you have not yet registered, you can do that at oneheartoneearth.net, and we would love to have you there. We also have another announcement today. Buddhist Biohacker, we are taking a stand against violence. Every human being is born equal, innocent, and has the right to be valued, respected, and treated ethically. It is the responsibility of a civilized society and its governance structure to foster the conditions whereby men and women alike have the opportunity to fully contribute and realize their potential. So this is a time for compassion and unification. And we have a call to action for each and every one of you out there. We'll be talking about it all throughout the summit and beyond. But we are asking everyone to start wearing gold ribbons, and Sheryl and I will have ours the next time we're on because we just kicked this off. But we'd like you to wear a gold ribbon to take your own stand against violence. It's all about nonviolence, compassion, the bodhicitta and unification. His Holiness the Dalai Lama has a statement calling for 7 billion human beings on the planet Earth to have compassion. We'll be sharing that statement via social media and in our newsletter today, later on today. We also, this is a time for us to come together. The more that we divide and separate, the more we are creating a reality we don't want. We create our new reality, and that reality that we want to create needs to come from unity and the rose gold flame in our heart chakras, which is what we stand for here at Buddhist Biohacker. So that is our call to action. There will be lots of information about this as we go forward. So thank you guys for participating and being a part of the community. Okay. Now we can talk. And Sheryl and I are going to talk about summer today, but this is Herbal Thursday. So our focus is talking about living holistically. Sheryl, I know that you've been on before. I know that a lot of folks know who you are. You've got a great presentation coming up in our June summit. However, just give everyone a brief snippet of who you are and what you do.
All right, so my name's Sheryl Garcia. I am Colorado Herbalist, so coloradoherbalist.com. I'm in Western Herbalist Vitalist tradition, which just means that I treat the whole self, so the body, the mind, the spirit, because we're all interconnected and interconnected with the earth too. So that's kind of how I approach everything, everybody. And I really like to teach about the plants and the earth and how everybody can heal, and not just physical, but the mental and the emotional and stress and anxiety that we've been having and things like that, and how we can have fun doing it too, because I like digging in dirt too. So summer's my favorite.
I love it. I love it. Well, and can you believe it's going to be summer on Saturday?
I
Is it
know.
the 20th? Do you have a farmer's almanac? I'm just curious.
I do not, but I tend to Google it when weird things arise.
Yeah,
the weather patterns.
back in the day, when we think about part of that holistic living as living within the seasons and the
Mhm.
time frames and also, being magical and manifesting and being part of, the craft of the wise and those traditions. It was like a thing. Like I bought a farmer's almanac every year for like a decade so that I knew what was going on. And I just wrote a note the other day. I was like, I think I need to get one because the seasons are just a little bit different this year. There's astrological things going on. So just a thought for all of us, actually, everybody who's listening and, just wondering about this farmer's almanac, because the
Yeah.
solstice is the 20th instead of the
Mhm.
21st, right? Or is it the
I think
21st?
so.
Okay, yeah, I think so
Yeah.
too. So we're
Yeah.
coming up on summer. So what do you want to say about summer just, off the bat? Like, what's your
Um,
thoughts on summer from a health perspective? And
I think especially after the spring we've had or not had, depending on how you look at it, that we just need to get outside. We really need to be outside. We need to be in the sun and with nature and touching earth with our actual skin, just
yeah,
really getting into nature, because we've been cooped up and we've been under more stress than ever before because of the worry and the virus fear and everything. And I really think that summer this year especially is going to be a super healing time for all of us. That's the biggest thing.
I love that. Well, and it's so important to go outside because of the vitamin D. I mean,
Yep.
and they're talking about, vitamin D is critical for our
It
immune
is.
function.
Mhm.
And the best way to get it is from the sun, as long as you're protecting from those, blue rays. But it's definitely the way to go. And do you take a vitamin D supplement?
I do. I am very deficient. You can usually tell by skin, those of us who are. I also have autoimmune disease that tends to also, very deficient people have it. So I'm tested every so often, probably not as much as my doctor would like, but that's okay. I don't care. One of those people.
Yes, for
So
sure.
I take 4,000 to 5,000 IUs.
A day.
I think a lot of people are deficient,
Hmm.
and the RDA, the value that the government sticks on that you should have, is less than people probably should have, especially for immunity, because it
Yeah.
is vitally important, as you said, for immunity.
Agreed. Well, yeah, I do 5,000 I use a day as well. And for everybody
Yeah.
listening, there's actually a weight value depending on how much you weigh is how many I use. But for an average adult, it should be 5,000 I use a day. For the kids, I actually have these vitamin D3 drops. And by the way, D3 is what you're
Yeah.
looking for. And there's actually these flavorless D3 drops that you can get for kids that you just put in their drinks and they don't know it's
Oh,
there, and you can give them that extra boost.
good
And
to
if you didn't
know.
know this, you can take up to 25,000 IUs in one shot if you're feeling sick or you have an infections. For example, like one of my lymph nodes back here, always on the back of my neck, always swells up if I'm sick.
I get
And
it right
do you? Yep. So if our lymph, swells up, if you have swollen lymph, or you
Yeah.
feel like your throat's swollen, you can actually take 25,000 IUs one time in one day to give your immune system that extra boost.
Yeah.
But I've read a lot of articles recently that the vitamin D deficiency, not just with coronavirus and any virus really, affects any virus affects your vitamin D levels. However, your vitamin D levels also affect whether or not you get the virus, is what I'm trying to say. Any
Yeah.
virus, not just coronavirus, but any virus. There's 74,000 viruses on the planet Earth that they know of. So just to give you guys an indication of how many viruses are out there, there's a lot more than just the one that we're focused on right now. but flu, cold, anything. So if you are feeling deficient in vitamin D, meaning you're feeling tired, fatigued, low energy, lymph nodes swollen, feels like you got an infection,
Get
anything.
sores around your mouth too.
Yes, so
Mhm.
true. Then you want to pop that 25,000. So you're going to do 5 pills of 5,000 IUs, but just do it one time. You don't want to OD on it either. So you
Yeah.
do that once. But it is a little trick that I learned from my functional medicine doctor years ago. And honestly, it really helps. If you're ever feeling like something's coming on, you do that. It really helps a lot.
Yep. Very important.
Totally, totally.
Yeah.
So in Ayurveda, Cheryl, and for everybody listening, summer is Pitta season, and Pitta is the fire energy. It's the fire element of our body, and so Pitta, the great part of Pitta is motivation and drive. It's passion, it's that fiery energy. Like you've got your red Pitta hair, like that's a passion energy. But the downside to Pitta, or the shadow side of the Pitta element, or Pitta dosha, is inflammation, redness in the face. Like
Mhm.
if you have rosacea or acne or anything like that, swelling can often be caused by inflammation. And so when you think about Pitta energy, if your Pitta is imbalanced in the summer, that's when you feel overheated, you feel angry. Anger is a big one. So you think about, do you get angry when you get hot?
Yes.
I
I agree.
totally do too.
Yes. I
And
am
that's,
not nice. No.
yeah, and that's a Pitta trait. Like when you get angry, like that's a Pitta trait. And so when you're overheated, and so one of the coolest things I've learned, Cheryl, in Ayurveda is about the temperature of what you put on and in your body. It actually is
Yeah.
pretty amazing. You want things to be room temperature with maybe a slight cool in the summer. And in the winter, you want it to be room temperature with maybe a slight warmth. And so you don't want ice cubes, believe it or not. Like it's like not good for your system. It actually shocks your system. It affects the enzyme production in your stomach. Isn't that interesting?
Okay. That is interesting.
Yeah, so what I did is I actually have a Brita, one of those Brita pitchers, and I
Mhm.
actually fill that with water and leave it out on my counter so that I can drink room temperature water. And in the house, it's slightly cool unless it's a really hot day. Also, herbal teas are really good in the summer, like
Yeah.
peppermint tea, lavender tea. You can sweeten a little bit with honey, but all those teas you want to drink like at a cool room temperature. And it's the same thing with your baths and your face. Like in the morning when you splash water on your face, which is part of the daily routine, in Ayurveda, is to splash water on your face first thing in the morning. And again, you want it room temperature with a slight cool. So you don't ever want to put anything hot on you or super cold on you. And your
Okay.
baths are the same thing. So in the summer, instead of taking like that super hot bath at night, if you do that, you want to take like a lukewarm bath that actually cools your system down to off
Oh.
balance the heat of the Pitta, which should reduce like anger, frustration, the fatigue. I don't know
Yeah.
about you, but I get fatigue like when I'm really hot.
Mhm.
It's like you're sluggish and you're tired and you're grouchy. Like that's when your Pitta is starting to get out of balance. So
Yeah.
that's something to keep in mind as we go into the summer months.
Yeah. Interesting. I didn't
It-
know that about the cold because I have iced tea right here.
yeah. Yeah, it's pretty
There
crazy.
you
No
go.
ice. No ice. You want to keep it like room temperature. And there's something about the ice too. I'll have to pull up the science, but there's something about the ice. When you are drinking something ice cold, it doesn't hydrate your body as well as if you
Okay.
drink that room temperature. Your body becomes very hydrated quickly, which is another interesting
I
thing.
do remember that from people who are going into heat exhaustion, like from running and stuff. You don't give them cold. I
Mm-hmm.
do remember that you cool them down slower.
Yep.
So that's interesting. That may be a little hard for some of us.
Yeah, it's
Which
a
is nice too.
transition. Ayurveda, and what do you think with herbology too? It's a slow, subtle, like lifestyle change. Wouldn't you
It
agree?
is. It is. It really is. It's a change to, especially being here in the West, where we are used to popping a pill or grabbing something from the drugstore, to change our mindset to going to a herbal tea, or actually when you're outside finding a certain weed that you can chew on and apply to your skin or something. I mean, it's a change to stop and think about it before you automatically do something you always did before.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what are the summer weeds? I want to know about all
So
the.
I know, right?
Yeah, I read your Dandelion blog post, and for everybody who's watching, you should tune in to Cheryl's blog. We'll have the links in the show notes, but it was really interesting how powerful dandelions are.
Yeah,
And so
I love
I'm excited.
dandelions.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about all these summer. What are the summer
There's
plants? And
another weed is called plantain, and I have a blog post on it, and I have another one on how to make a plantain infused oil that then you can make a salve from. But it grows in really bad soil, so like parking lot dirt, gravel. And if you saw the picture, you've seen it. It's everywhere. And this weed, quote unquote, is an amazing healer thing. So if you are riding your bike and you fall off and scrape your knee, or your child does or something, and this weed is there, you can literally take a leaf of it, like I said, chew on it, put it on, and it'll actually help disinfect it. It'll help it to feel better a little bit, to heal it. Bug bites, scrapes, burns, all of that. You can do it while you're out and about, or you can have it in like your first aid kit. And I had talked about how to make a salve out of it, so you can carry it, in a little jar if you want it around. And it's the ugliest thing around, probably. It's not a pretty weed. Like a dandelion can be pretty, but it's amazing, absolutely amazing. That one I love because it's so accessible. It's everywhere. And the other thing,
so it grows in Colorado?
yeah.
Okay.
It,
Does it grow
yeah.
like across the US? Can people find it in the US and other
I
countries?
think it does pretty much. From when I was looking at, reading on it, it was pretty much everywhere.
Okay.
So it's really in rough places. It likes that packed down dirt. So it's like on the side of the roads and trails and things like that. So you don't have to go looking very hard for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the traits of it? What does it do for you?
So it is anti-inflammatory, a little antiseptic, so antibacterial, cleans it. The anti-inflammatory is probably the biggest thing when it comes to wounds, burns. Oh gosh, my brain went icky. It's got some others I can't even think of right now.
Okay.
But it's really good for the bug bites, the burns, the scrapes. Some people will say they'll actually pull out splinters, like it'll draw it out.
Oh, wow.
I've not tried that, so I'm not sure. I have a clay usually that I use that for, but
interesting.
It's worth a shot.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting because it sounds like from an Ayurveda space that it probably has a cooling quality.
Yes, I would say so.
I wonder if it's in the astringent category is kind of what it sounds like. But what you're talking about, the bug bites, scrapes, burns, like that again is all pitta. That's all inflammation, the redness, the burning energy, that fire energy would be that. So that would definitely help with that as well, which is our whole focus in the summer.
And I think everything that I might mention probably falls under that.
Okay.
The astringent, the cooling, because that's when you're outside or in summer, like you said, those are the things that you get overheated or you get burned or you have an inflammation of some sort.
Yeah. Yeah. That sweet bitter, astringent. Those are the three things in Ayurveda for the summer. And sweet is not chocolate cookies, you guys.
I know.
I know. Sweet is really yogurts and cheeses, which for me, I really stick to. Honestly, mostly these days, I'm doing sheep's milk more than anything else. But I can do goat too. Stay away from cow's milk if you can, away from that dairy. It's just so contaminated with hormones and antibiotics and every other thing.
Yeah.
And stick to local. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's it. There's a great website called eatwild.org. And I'll remember to put that in the show notes, but eatwild.org tells you where you can get local ingredients. So I'm on a new mission, Cheryl, to, by the end of 2020, by the end of this year, I want to be completely unhooked from the grocery store.
Oh, that'll be great.
I want to be in a space where I can get everything from direct local places, whether it's farms or farmers markets or, direct. I want to be able to get things direct from whatever it is that I'm consuming. And so that's kind of a huge undertaking, honestly, because you have to really research. Like, it's so easy to go to the grocery store and it's all convenience, and to say, oh gosh, now I have to find a farmer where I can get milk and I can get yogurt and I can get meat if we eat meat, like those kinds of things. But that's my mission. I feel like that's a more sustainable way. Then you're not even having to go to that store.
Yeah.
For anything.
That'll be great. I love it.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. The thing is, the hard part's going to be fresh vegetables in the winter. I mean, I think that's where you kind of get stuck.
Yeah.
But I want to try to get as much as I can moved over. Okay, so what else do you got? We talked about, so plantain.
Yep.
Okay. What's the
not
next
the
thing?
Bananas. It's
not the bananas.
Not the banana. So you had mentioned lavender, and the cool thing about lavender is you can make for lavender in a spray bottle with just water, and if you get sunburn, you can spray it on there and it cools off your sunburn.
Seriously?
So, yeah. And then you can cool off sunburn, and then you can even apply the aloe plant afterwards, the goo in the aloe plant, to help heal the sunburn. But that lavender will cool off your skin.
Oh
so
my
even
God,
if you
that's
have
so
overheated skin, it could cool it off.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So I thought that was great. And then lemon balm is cooling also. So when you get overheated, you could do lemon balm tea cooled in a spray bottle to cool you off. Put lavender in it even. Drink cool lemon balm tea to just cool your system too. I love lemon balm tea. It is also kind of an antidepressant, so it calms you. It's like one of my favorite teas.
Do you make it homemade or do you get it from somewhere?
Well, I have dried leaves, so I just brew it myself.
Oh, okay. And where would you recommend that we get lemon balm tea leaves?
It actually, at natural grocers, they sell it bulk.
Oh,
Mountain Rose Herbs.
Oh my God, I'm making a note right now.
Yeah, I love lemon balm.
That's so awesome.
So like even if you have like heat exhaustion starting or whatever, the lemon balm tea can help start cooling your system too.
Okay.
It's a very good cooling. It's good for cold sores.
Okay.
Too.
You know what else is really good?
One.
You know what else is good for cold, not so much cold sores, but canker sores. So if you are highly acidic and you get canker sores on your tongue or inside your gums or any of those places, watermelon actually cools that off. I actually learned that from my Chinese medicine doctor years ago, and it's really great. So watermelon will actually cool off and rebalance the pH that's causing you to get those canker sores. And summertime's a great time to eat watermelon.
Yes, that's cool. That's a good thing to know.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
That's great. Also lavender, anything related to heat with lavender. So if you get I'm going to call it hot migraines, but you get migraines and you feel hot and people that get migraines, there's different causes of migraines, but you can have different types. You can have like a hot migraine, and I'm making up that term, by the way. So if you
Don't
have
tell
one,
anyone.
I know if you have one, you know what I'm talking about. The lavender can help that. So you can put lavender oil on your temples will help that. If you get a headache from the heat, lavender can help, because I do that too. You get overheated, you get a headache.
Yeah.
Lavender helps all that too. I love lavender too.
Sweet.
And then what else do I have? Well, I had something for chamomile, but you kind of blew it with the ice cube thing.
Oh my gosh. Well, tell us anyways. This
If
is
you
all
make-
about 2 different modalities,
I
right?
know. So if you make chamomile tea and cool it and then freeze it into ice cubes, and you get the hot face and the hot everything, you just put it on your skin, and it helps again to cool it, anti-inflammatory, healing, and it's good. Chamomile's good for your skin too.
That sounds awesome. Do you know what I love is chamomile tea baths?
Yes.
So for everybody listening, get the chamomile tea in your bath and soak in that. You know what else is really good? Is catnip.
It is. Yes.
So good.
That is my anti-anxiety thing.
Yeah. So I was going to ask, from your herbology certification, what does catnip do? Because I love catnip baths. Man, I haven't taken one in years either. I kind of feel like I want to now.
Is such an anti-anxiety calming. It's safe for children. So it's been used for children for centuries to calm them down. And so the same thing for a bath, as a bath tea, it's amazing. I use it in a calming tea I like putting it with chamomile and peppermint for some reason.
Yeah.
I love it. And then sometimes I put some on this, I have a little counter behind me, and then my cat rolls in it and falls off the counter. It's kind of funny too. So you get entertainment from the cats, plus you get to relax. But it's safe. So that's also why I love it. It's safe for everybody.
Oh my God, that sounds so nice. I'm writing some notes here. I'm like thinking, and I want to make some homemade peppermint tea, and I've seen some recipes online. Do you have any recommendations? I mean, you can get the fresh peppermint in pretty much anywhere at this point in the year. But is there anything else you would recommend putting in it, or do you just make the tea with the peppermint?
I do. Well, if I have a headache, I do peppermint and white willow bark, which takes a little longer to brew, but I put peppermint in a lot of things. It makes a lot of herbs taste better too. So if you're doing it medicinally, just throw peppermint in it, it tastes better. But it's cooling. It can be relaxing, or it can be, peppermint's weird. It's one of those, can relax you or it can energize you depending on what she got it with. For summer, you could put it with like even hibiscus and some of the flowery ones, and add a little peppermint in it.
Nice.
I don't know. It's really good with a lot of things.
Yum. Okay. Well, I think we all want to make it's summer, and it's summer solstice. And so this weekend, I think
mix it up.
Yeah. Well, and we're going to have the summit all weekend. So I think this is a great weekend for everybody listening. Like, while you're watching the summit, we can be brewing some of these teas out in the sunshine with our fresh herbs and start making those. And
I had found a recipe. And I wanted to do it this weekend, actually. It was hibiscus. It was spearmint, though, which isn't as strong as peppermint. It was hibiscus, spearmint, and rose.
Ooh, yum.
And they were all using dried tea. It was a cold brew. It was a sun tea. So you put it in cool water and let it sit in the sun 3 to 6 hours.
Oh, that sounds cool. Maybe you can put that on the forum.
Yeah, I will. I'll do that. If you
guys go to the MeWe forum, Cheryl's been really good about getting recipes up there. I need to get better about that.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that does. I like hibiscus
I
anything,
do.
but I love hibiscus tea. You know, when I lived on Maui, everybody had fresh brewed hibiscus
Oh, I
something because of the
bet.
island. Yeah. And so there was like a hibiscus rose and pineapple tea that I really
Ooh,
loved that was at this little like coffee shop on the island that was really wonderful. So that
yeah.
be good too. I don't like spearmint. Why do you think that is? What does spearmint do? I have like an aversion to it. I just don't like it.
Um, well, it does have a different flavor, so it could. I know other people who just don't like the spearmint.
Don't like
It's
the
it has basically the same properties. It's just not as strong. There's three mints. That's peppermint, spearmint, and then a mint. It's a Chinese mint, and I, for life of me, can't remember the name of it. And they're on the same thing, just different strengths or of it.
yeah.
You just don't like the flavor. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, I really have like a
So
super aversion. Like if somebody is chewing spearmint gum by me, I have to get away from them.
yeah,
I
and I
hate,
like spearmint, but that's just me. So I would just use
yeah.
regular mint, just use less of it probably.
Okay. Like
It's just not
less
as strong.
peppermint kind of thing. Yeah. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
you can just use less. So you
I
just
love
get a
that.
hint of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things, so we talked about all these cooling teas. I'm trying to think of what was in my summer guide. So I do have a summer
Yeah.
guide up on my blog and it's on social
And
media.
it's
Uh,
amazing.
It really is. And it was pretty
Yeah.
simple. I mean, you keep it pretty simple. I mean, here's the thing, whether it's Ayurveda or I would wager a guess with herbology too, Cheryl, with what you do, it's all about what's fresh and local
Yes.
in your area.
Exactly.
So no matter where you are in the world, not just the United States, but no matter where you are, you want to look at what naturally grows in your area
Mm-hmm.
during that season. And it's pretty easy to search that on the World Wide Web, like go to
Yep.
Google or go to a different search engine, whatever you want to use. But you can really see what is grown locally. And so in Colorado, it depends on what parts of Colorado too, because if you're on the Eastern Slope, um, you know, they're gonna grow different things and they're growing out, on the west side, on the other
Right.
side of the mountains. But for sure in Colorado, there's peaches and plums and nectarines and things like that. So there's definitely, and cherries is a big one right
Mm-hmm.
now. So you can do a lot with cherries, which is actually a really good, that's a sweet, bitter, and astringent fruit. It's actually all of them. So it's a really good one for summer. And it has a lot of great antioxidants in it. So this is the time for you to take a look before we hit the season this weekend and say, okay, what do I need to update my kitchen and my own apothecary in the house? And I don't know if you do that, Cheryl, but I'm actually doing that today, this afternoon. I'm cleaning out my kitchen and I'm going to go, update some of the herbs and spices that I cook with for the summer months, because it does vary, I mean, in Ayurveda, you primarily use the same things. I mean, coriander, turmeric, fennel, cumin, there's a few other ones, but those are like the primary that you cook with
Yeah.
all year. That's what you make kachari with and what you do these other things. However, there are also some spices and herbs that are better in the summer that, are more on the astringent side. When you think astringent too, you want to think like arugula, bitter greens. I'm super into
Dandelion.
learning about microgreens. So
Yep.
micro arugula and micro broccoli sprouts are really good, full of glutathione, which is our master antioxidant. So at least 26% of the population has a genetic SNP that causes you to not produce glutathione properly. So microgreens are actually a really good thing to get into for the summer. And so the only thing that I would say about the greens is summer is a time for fresh summer salads. So it's a great time for all these greens and herbs and all these things that are fresh. But most of us, especially if you're born after 1974, because that's when Roundup was fine, glyphosate went everywhere across the United States and was legal after 1974. So there is a tea, Cheryl, in Ayurveda It's called Ccf Tea. I should have brought the bag down to my little podcast spot. But it's coriander, cumin, and fennel. So you can get it from Banyan Botanicals, but you can also just buy the whole seeds, and you brew a little cup after you eat. And it actually increases your digestive enzymes, and it helps you if you get gas, bloating, if you have trouble processing your food. First, you want to look at what you're eating and why you're having trouble. But if you just have trouble, if your digestive enzymes are off track, you can drink that tea. And so I would recommend drinking that tea, let it cool off to that lukewarm space. Don't drink it hot. But I would drink a cup of that after dinner if you're eating a lot of fresh, raw fruits and vegetables for the summer, because it's actually really good for us to eat fresh, raw fruits and vegetables. But it can be really, really hard for our system to process. And so the Ccf tea kind of helps balance that out. You also want to think about flash steaming everything, because believe it or not, if you flash steam, so spinach and kale are high in oxalates. If you flash steam those, it reduces the oxalate count. And oxalates can cause all kinds of issues, but one of the biggest things they cause is kidney stones and gallbladder stones. So if you get stones, you likely need to watch your oxalates. Chocolate, coffee, bitter greens all have oxalates, but if you flash steam them, so that's another thing you can do is flash steam them. And then another thing that I've been doing every once in a while, but we'll definitely be doing more in the summer, is like carrots and things like that, is all steam them till they're al dente, till they're, soft, but they're still crispy, and then put them back in the fridge so that you can eat them and they're ready, they're sort of already processed, right? With that cooking process started. But then you can eat them and you can pull them out an hour before dinner, get them room temperature, and have that on your salad. So not everything is totally raw. If you have trouble detoxing and digesting, I have to manage my liver and my kidneys. So cooking things just a little bit, getting the process started really helps your digestion too. So when you're thinking of eating all this fresh, raw, great stuff that we want to eat in the summer, which I think we should, I think there's value to mixing up. You want to mix up the variety of food. You also want to mix up the variety of the cooking techniques, you know? And so I think like doing that, if you have fresh greens, but then you have carrots maybe that are just cooked a little bit and, some other things, then it's going to help you like poach your pears or your peaches in the summer and slice those up on your salad, do some little fresh goat's cheese or fresh sheep's milk cheese like that. Now you're talking, like, that makes me hungry.
I know. I'm already hungry.
I know. I'm like, this sounds yummy. I kind of want to eat that. But you have that with your peppermint hibiscus tea, right?
Yes.
And that is that summer. You want to think, how do I cool myself? But also, how do I, manage, how can my body process what I'm cooling myself off with? What else do you got for summer? I just dropped my stuff, dropped my computer. What else do you have for, I want to hear more about, so we've got dandelion, you talked about a little bit. Can you tell everybody a little bit? I want everyone to read your blog, but just a brief, like, what does dandelion do?
So dandelion, you were talking about the bitter greens. Dandelion is a bitter green also for salads and stuff, and is really good for summer. So it is one of those detoxifying, good for your liver herbs, salad herbs that you can eat. And you can also go harvest your own if it's not been sprayed with anything.
Yeah, right.
Sure. Please watch where you're, or sprayed by a dog even. You want to make sure it's not in a dog area. But it is just absolutely, I love dandelion. It's another one of those great healers for just inside and outside. So for skin, it heals damaged skin, chapped skin, the cuts, the burns.
Oh, wow.
I made a dandelion oil that I'm going to make some salves for skin also, because I just love it. Sorry.
Oh, that's
I'm a real
cool.
skin
Yeah.
person. I don't know. I think people forget skin is an organ, and what you put on your skin goes into your whole system too. So that's why essential oils are good, because they go into your system. As long as they're, of course, healthy ones and not cheap ones. Anyway, but they're anti-inflammatory. They're, like I said, detoxifying for your liver, good for digestion. So they help your digestive system. So they're it's a big word, alterative herb, which means they help your whole body kind of get right, help it get right, and so your body can help heal itself.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that's what vitalism does. Help you give it your body what it needs to heal itself.
I love that. I swear by my dandelion tea because of my liver. Like, I love dandelion tea. I drink some almost every single day that I can.
Yeah, it's really amazing. Actually a little bit, because if you think about it, 1 cup of tea is a little bit, can do so much for your health and your inside out, your skin, your liver, your whole digestive functioning. And actually your digestive system is considered topical, like skin, because everything you put in is being absorbed, like your skin would absorb it.
Yeah.
So anything you can put in that helps your digestive system, you can put on top of your skin. It'll help it too.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. It's
good to know.
Amazing. And if you read my blog, it has a really cute Winnie the Pooh quote about weeds.
I love it.
I'm sorry. That's how I look at things.
I love it. Yeah. What other herbs are you using for the summer? Like, what else is on your mind as we head up into this new season?
So I think because I just went to Kansas, which has a whole different, and it was windy, so a whole bunch of different plants blowing in my face. So I was thinking of allergies. And living in Colorado, that's a big thing. And Kansas has to be a big thing because, oh my gosh, it was very windy there. Yeah. And so stinging nettle is a plant that grows. It does grow around here. I haven't seen it, but I've talked to people and they have. It's one of those when you're walking through the brush and all of a sudden you hit it, you know it because it hurts.
Yeah, so I grew up in rural Iowa, which I can never say rural. And I'll tell you what, nettles are the worst.
Yes.
And we
they heal.
We would play in the summertime in the forest behind my house. And I'll tell you what, like you'd run into those nettle plants. And, oh my God, it just stings.
I remember getting it on my leg when I was a kid, and I grew up in Illinois. So, but so stinging nettles, the most amazing thing they do, which is not related to allergies, is if you have arthritis, like let's say on your hand, you have bad arthritis, if you actually sting yourself with stinging nettles, surprisingly, it can help heal your arthritis.
Oh, wow.
It's called counter irritant, but there's a healing thing in the nettle that goes in when you're stinging. The sting helps it feel better right away because the sting, I guess, probably hurts worse than the one of those. But then the healing of the plant gets in the joints, so anti-inflammatory and stuff too.
Wow.
For allergies, if you get a tincture, a fresh plant tincture, and it'll tell you on the bottles, is good for symptomatic relief. So if you take, like 20 drops of the tincture, you'll actually start feeling better from the sinuses and stuff of allergies. And you can mix it with like goldenrod tincture, which is one of those you don't want to take if you have a ragweed allergy or a daisy allergy.
Okay.
So if you know you have ragweed, don't do goldenrod. But if you mix it with goldenrod, it just helps. It's antihistamine effect.
Okay.
So, and also the other one is horehound with goldenrod, can be one for allergies that you can take regularly, like 3 times a day instead of, like Zyrtec or something. And it helps against allergies. And then if you have clogged up sinuses, you can have some horseradish or wasabi, and it'll drain your sinuses.
Oh, I love that. Have you ever had raw wasabi, not the green powdered processed stuff, but real raw wasabi?
I think I did a long time ago. I think my
Yeah,
cousin
that
gave me
stuff
some.
I went to the sushi restaurant years ago and, it was one of those like higher end sushi restaurants in New York City is where I was. And they had real raw wasabi. And let me tell you guys, you've not had wasabi till you've had raw wasabi. I
Was
wonder
it
if that's something.
sliced really thin?
Yes. And it was,
I
so
have
it's
had
sliced
it.
like ginger. But it
Yes.
was like the raw wasabi, and then they had the raw ginger. And I
Yep.
imagine that's super good for you. I feel intuitively like that'd be really good for summer. So yeah, I wonder if we can get that in Colorado, but if you can find raw wasabi, I say go for it.
I have had it. Yeah.
Have you?
Yes, I remember now it was on the side of the sushi plate. Yep.
That stuff burns, but it's so
Yes,
good.
it will.
One of those things, don't you find it's the same thing with Indian food where, some things really burn, but like they are so good. Like you want
It's like addictive.
Yes.
Yes.
I know it does something with your hormones and makes something go on, but it's just, I can't think of the word right now.
Yeah.
But yeah. So one thing that I think is good for summer is, anytime there's a season change is a good time to do a cleanse.
Yes.
And I've been thinking a lot about, so I'm working on a blog article right now for my blog that's about meat or no meat.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing, like I have a binder. No joke.
Yeah.
This whole thing is my genetic analysis. I know.
Wow.
I love it. But it's my genetic analysis. And I'll tell you what, like I know that my body needs meat and protein in order to, be healthy. But I also am really having a hard time with how I feel intuitively about meat when I eat it. So I've really been going around and around. So I'm doing some research. So I'm working on this blog article. But with all that said, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to go pesco vegetarian again. I did that several years ago in culinary school of all things. And I felt great when I did it. I remember I was pesco vegetarian for a year. And so that's going to be like my summer cleanse. I'm going to start. So rather than doing like a 4-day cleanse, like going into the new season, I'm looking at the whole season as like this cleanse of like eliminating those proteins and really eating lots of fish and seeing like how I feel. And summer in Ayurveda with protein, you're supposed to stick to lean meats, light meat. So like white meat, chicken, like you want to stay away from the dark, oily meat. And they do say, you can have some lamb or whatever, some beef, but very lean, very light, very little. If you have it, it all depends on your dosha, of course. But my plan right now for my summer, like seasonal cleanse is to eliminate meat products except for fish and see how that goes all summer. So what are you doing?
Sounds great.
Yeah. What are you doing?
So I have found that a lot of meats are starting to not like me, or vice versa. So I was also a pesco vegetarian a few years ago for a couple years and loved it. I felt really good also. I just can't, honestly, food money-wise, I can't afford it. I also can't afford meat. So.
Oh no.
Honestly, it's expensive. So I am focusing on, Well, I'm actually focusing on not doing red meat. I don't know if that's a focus necessarily, but I know I need to not do that. My system needs to stay away from it. So,
Yeah.
so it'll be cleansing out of that too.
Mhm.
Um, and there's some other things I know that I'm going to stop doing because my system is saying, no, I need to get away from it. And I'm going to really focus more on the seasonal local now that we are in summer,
Mhm.
and the options are really awesome. And I want to open my mind up to some new things too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what
I
I'm going
love
to
that.
do. Yeah.
I'll keep you guys posted on the meat or no meat. Really what I'm looking at is how do we get the protein? You
Right.
know, eggs of course are good, but if it, it depends on where you really want to go. I don't know that we were created to be vegan. Uh,
Right.
but I'm really open. I'm keeping my mind really open to like, what does the information tell me? Because I think every person is different. And that's one of the
Mhm.
things that I love about the work that you and I do. Whether you're going through the herbology path or the Ayurveda path or both or whatever combination
Mhm.
of that, when you're living a holistic life, it's really about you as an individual. It's not about
Right.
treating like mass symptoms or any of those things. It's really about what works for you. And so I
Yeah.
think everybody has a little bit different. And I know a lot of people who it's to be a vegan actually can make them pretty sick. And so, it's really looking at, well, how do I do this in a way that's socially responsible, right? That
Right.
has that, responsibility to sentient beings and at the same time is supporting my body in a healthy way. And I think part of it is the local piece too. If I know what the farmer's doing and where the animal's coming from, it makes a huge difference.
Exactly. I agree with that.
Yeah. So one of the things I had on my list was like summer activities, how to
Yeah.
move your body. And one thing I wanted to share that I think is interesting. So there's different times of day for the different doshas. So Pitta time is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Okay.
Oh,
So from 10 to 2, no matter what time of day, from 10 to
okay.
2, you're in Pitta time. When you're sleeping, that 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. time frame, that Pitta time is when you're detoxing. So it's
Oh,
really important to be asleep by 10 p.m. because you want your body to have that full. This is why we feel so dragging if we stay up till 2 a.m. because we
yeah.
missed the entire sleep cycle where our body's detoxifying. So that's a pretty big thing. When I learned that, and I'm a good sleeper, but when I learned that, it was like, okay, I need to be in bed asleep because my body needs to process out. I have a hard time detoxing.
Mhm.
So I need my body needs to detox. It needs that support. So that's one thing to keep in mind all year. But in the summer, from 10 to 2 is Pitta time during the day. This is when you have the heat and the fire in your body. This is why it's suggested to have lunch as your biggest meal, because you have the digestive fire during that time to process a heavy meal versus at
Okay.
night, you're not in Pitta time at night. It's not as easy for your body to process. So you want to have that bigger meal. You also don't want to be doing a max ton of exercise. Like, don't go at the heat of the day at noon for a run on a trail in the sun. Like, you're just
Right.
asking for an imbalance. Like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You really want to, from 10 to 2 is really the time to eat that nice, good, nutrient rich meal. And really allow yourself to digest that meal. It's also because your digestion's well, funny enough, this is a good time for mental digestion. So
I've
like, this is why most of my podcasts are at 11, 1, like in that time frame. I know I have a 3 o'clock time frame, but it's because this is a good time to take in information, to actually digest it, to think about it, to have the energy for it versus other times of the day. Because at 2 o'clock, you go into Kapha time. Kapha is slow. Kapha is sluggish. Kapha is your afternoon nap.
now.
So
Yep.
you eat that big meal between 10 and 2, and then from 2 to 6 is the slow sluggish time. So for those of you who still work a conventional job, Probably aren't many these days. But for those of you that do, from 2 to 6, it's not easy to get things done. You're not going to take in as much information. You're going to feel tired. You might want to nap. You're going to feel sluggish. This is also not a time to exercise. Really, Vata time is the best time to exercise. That would be 6 to 10. So 6 to 10 in the morning, 6 to 10 at night. So you want to think about, those of us who aren't early risers, I'm not, but have you ever had this, Cheryl, where you wake up at 6 a.m. and you do an exercise, like you yoga, walk, something, and you feel really energized, even if normally you don't get up early?
Yeah.
It's because that's Vata time frame. So from 6 to 10 a.m., that's when you want to be doing your exercise, or from 6 to 10 p.m. So imagine, if you have your meal at lunch from 10 to 2, then you're going to do your exercise at 6. Like you're going to hit that Vata time, which is that fast moving creative time. You're going to do your exercise and have a light dinner, 7, 8 o'clock, and then you're done. And then you go to bed at 10 so you can detox, right? Like it's a whole process. But in regards to summer specifically, 10 to 2 is Pitta time. So just remember, in the summer, it's a Pitta season. So you do not want to overheat during the Pitta time. So from 10 to 2, you want to eat, you want to stay cool. That's when you get those chamomile ice cubes you were talking about, put them on your face, like cool yourself off during that time, because that's the heat of the day and the heat of the time frame. And you want to stay balanced during that time. So I thought that was really interesting. And summer activities, everybody does their own thing with their activities, but summer is Pitta season. And the way to balance Pitta is slow exercise, which Pittas don't like to do. But I'll tell you what, like this is the time for gentle yoga, Hatha yoga, taking a hike. So going on a nice hike, getting out in nature, slowing things down in the summertime. If you're going to do fast-paced running, cardio, high intensity interval training, do it during Vata time from 6 to 10 a.m. and really ideally from that 6 to 8 a.m. time period before it gets really hot. If you're going to do it at all, that's the time frame that you want to focus on.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Isn't
and
it?
It kind of explains a lot too. Like in just kind of in the way your body feels throughout the day. It does explain a lot.
Yeah. And I think we forget that our activity is just as important as our food.
Yeah. And the timing, that's just, well, I always think if you're doing exercise in the heat of the day, you're asking for trouble, but that's just me.
I just can't, Cheryl. Like, I don't know about you, but I just can't. I mean, I am not an exercise in the heat of the day person. Like,
no. And I'm still a slow exercise person. I don't do a lot of major cardio. I just tend to not. I like the hiking and the walking and the yoga. So I don't really relate to a lot of that, but that is good information. I had about the getting out into nature. When you're out there, just meditate outside too. Take that time to meditate in nature and to journal if, while you're surrounded by the nature. I really think that's so important to just connect that way. I think people miss that, not just after being quarantined and locked up, but just because so many people are working in an office, in a building, and nature has so much to tell us about ourselves, about nature, about the earth, that we just need to stop and listen. So those times of days, I just thought that was perfect. Bless you.
Thank you. I muted myself. I was like, let's laugh. No, I think that's really key, like the meditation and
Yeah.
it's really about slowing down. Like summer is a time to soak in the sun.
Yeah.
You want to keep your body moving, but you just don't want to overheat and overdo and push yourself because that's when the skin flares up. That's when the body flares up. That's when
Yep.
that fire energy. I mean, I think that's the key for everyone to understand is that it's about summer is fire, which is somewhat obvious. But
Right. Just
summer is that fire time. It's time for you to really think about, you know, how do I cool myself off, slow myself down? And I'm just having a thought, we have so many people from all around the world watching, and maybe we should think about what the seasons are other places too. Cause I'm like, wow, we're going into summer in the US, but not everybody's going into summer. Some people
well,
are,
some I guess are going into winter, but
yeah,
it's hard for me to think about.
I know it's so true. We'll have to
So
think about some tips and tricks. But for
yeah.
everybody listening, we would love to have your comments and questions. You can write them in the MeWe forum. You can write them here on YouTube. But I think it would be great to get some of your questions to answer for next month.
Yeah.
Next month we check in, like, how are we doing in the summer? Because we'll be coming into, the first third of the summer will be over when we connect.
Right. Yeah. And if they're in another season and they have a question, we could definitely answer that too.
Yeah, for sure. I want to hear
Yeah.
from you guys because you guys are going, we have all different people in all different places.
Yeah. I
I,
would love that.
I can't believe how fast an hour goes. Every day I say that,
Amazing.
'cause every day I'm amazed by it. What else? What else have you got? What other words of wisdom before we say goodbye to everybody for the day?
Well, mainly summer, so make sure to hydrate, of course, because I think people actually do forget.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to drink more than you think you need.
Yeah.
So if you think you're drinking enough, you're probably not. So drink more.
Mm-hmm.
Protect your skin when you're outside from the sun, from the damage, and the skin cancer is a very serious thing. So, or if you don't want to think about that, think about how you'll look in 10 years if you don't.
Yep. So true.
We'll go for vanity.
Yes.
But really I just want people to enjoy it, and hopefully we can just remember who we are, where we are, what we're a part of, and that we're not alone and we're part of this big, beautiful world. The sun's shining, and get out and enjoy it, however that is for you.
Love it. I love it. Yep, it's summertime here, and we continue this global awakening of 2020. And as we're doing that, this is a time to get yourself out of the house, get the vitamin D in the sunshine, take care of your body, stay cool. And I like the meditate too. And thank you guys so much for listening. And thank you, Cheryl, so much for being on. I love our Herbal Thursdays, and we'll have more and more to come with all of this. And you can catch my blog at lisamgunshore.com. I have all of my functional Ayurveda. If you're interested in looking at your vitamin D levels, I do offer functional medicine testing. I'm a Great Plains clinician, so we can do your nutrient testing and see where you're at with all of that. You can throw yourself on a free Ayurvedic consultation on my calendar. And Cheryl, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you as well.
Yep, coloradoherbalist.com. It is my blog. It is where you can schedule with me for a consultation and contact me with questions and whatever you want. Check out some pictures on there. Got my doggies.
I love it. Well, and Cheryl's blog is so good. Like, Cheryl, you do a good job. You're so thorough with your articles. You really do, get a lot of information out there, and it's really accessible, which I think is really cool. Like when I read your Dandelion blog, it's like, I can do this. Like I can make this happen. And I think anyone will feel that way. So make sure you guys tune in. I'll get all of the show notes updated today on YouTube. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify or Podbean, or wherever else you're hearing this on audio, I love you all so much. I love you, Cheryl. Thank you so
I
much.
love you.
And everybody out there, it's summit time. So the next time you see us live, we're going to be on our opening circle, which is so exciting. And I look forward to seeing everybody soon. Mwah, 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 mwah. And have a great day.